Welcome back everyone to Data Science Building Blocks. Again, I'm Joe. Today I'm going to walk you through a short tutorial on graphing. We've done a lot up to this point, so if you've been following along, go ahead and open up your Data Science Building Blocks 1 worksheet. If you haven't been following along, I encourage you to go back just because we've only done 5 videos up to this point. They're not that long and we've covered a ton of things like removing duplicates, sorting, filtering, pivot tables. We've done average if and sum if functions, index matches, VLOOKUPs. So we've crammed a lot into just a little bit of time up to this point, and it would be good if you caught up to this point and had this worksheet handy because we've been building on it from the very start. But if you're just interested in graphing, stick around to just follow along and get the feel for what it's like to make it in Excel. If you have this worksheet, go ahead and go to the Index Match tab and select your data, including column A that has the country and row 2 that has the year. We will go to Insert, and here we see we have a recommended charts option, we have a line chart option, bar chart, even a pivot chart. I usually like to click on recommended charts, but it is a good idea to have some sort of feel for your data and know what chart you're looking for ahead of time. With years and trends, it makes a lot of sense to do line charts because you can put year on the bottom and see how each entity is trending over time. This won't have all of your detail because we're breaking it up in 50-year increments. So if we want to add to this, we can do that to see more detail and what's going on between the years 1800 and 1850. If we just leave it how it is, it's going to connect the dots from 1800 to 1850 to 1900, which is fine if that's what you want to see, but we can also include the details if we want. So maybe I'll just do 25-year increments, and to do that I'll just insert a row between every year here and add in our 25-year increments. So I can just do 1800 plus 25 here in the first space and just drag it over. It'll keep the 50-year columns exactly the same, but let's change 2016 is the last year in our data, so let's change the last one to 2016. These formulas over here now are still referencing the right items, but I think it makes sense to do the same thing. Do insert, shortcut again, I can click column O and then do an F4, click column Q and do an F4. F4 is going to repeat your last action after inserting rows or columns. On a Windows, that will happen for you, so I like to do that. And then we can do the same thing, or we can just select these cells and do a Control-C copy and right click here and copy the values. So I guess we do not need this last column over here anymore. Delete it, and we should be able to just drag to grab everything. Do a quick check, like middle of 1975 here. What is that doing? Okay, it's grabbing the right cell, so we're good. And here we can just drag down, that'll stay the same, drag over to the left. Our index match should work properly. We set everything up properly in the last video. So now we have 25-year increments. That's kind of nice. We can select, let's just do the first 3 rows so it's not too busy. Just look at Australia, Brazil, and Canada. Click on recommended charts, and like I mentioned, we'll do all charts and choose a line chart. I think that the years on the bottom makes the most sense, so it's giving us what we want right here, and it's already pretty much done. This is a powerful chart that shows us the 3 entities with the year on the bottom. Every 25 years, what's going on. We have some intersection to see that Brazil pretty much lags everyone the entire time. It looks like it's ahead of Australia in 1800, but since this is 0, Australia probably doesn't have any data in 1800. We can see that in the year 1900, Australia surpasses Canada and then actually dips below Canada again in 1975. So good visual here. Might be hard to gather that just by looking at this data. Just a couple things you can do for cleanup. You can do average life expectancy. I just double clicked this to change the title. You can click this plus sign to add more items like data labels. You can do access titles, pretty self-explanatory in this case, but it still could make sense with other data to add a little more information so that your audience knows what's going on. Average life expectancy on this side. You can change this to a dark chart. I wouldn't recommend having this many data labels. You can leave some of them too if you want to just call out where they start to move. You can get rid of the busier areas if you wanted to do it that way. And then your audience will have a good feel here and there for what they're looking at. Remove the rest of the orange ones. I want to give them the information where it's helpful. Right, so the top here would be 85, the low would be 32, this little intersection here, 31 versus 63. Could be very helpful. So that was a pretty short tutorial. You can do a number of other charts, but that at least gives you a feel for how we would visualize our data. Last thing I want to say here is you can just drag this down to add in other countries. Now it probably makes sense to get rid of your data labels and just do your own callouts. But once you create a chart, it's definitely easy to amend it afterwards to include more or less information. I encourage you to keep following along, and we'll see you in the next one.